I'm 34, and I have three young children. I have one who's in kinder, one in fourth grade, and one in sixth grade. And so, if there was an option for my kids to go back today, they'd be there. I think parents ought to be able to have the choice. You should do what you feel is the right thing to do. And I think for me, with my youngest kids, my kindergartner, he's probably doing the best, and he started off as the rockiest. But I have a fourth grader who needs a lot of support. I actually got another job this year because I needed more money to be able to pay for tutoring. So I'm paying, $500 a month for 2 days of tutoring a week, and 45 minutes. And so I am also with my oldest son, and he doesn't need academic tutoring, he needs a creative tutor. So I'm actually in the new year going to be paying somebody so he doesn't lose his creativity from sitting staring at a teacher sharing her screen for a full day. That's no way to learn. And so he has struggled with depression. We have got him support in that way, but he also just needs somebody because I'm working all day. So he needs someone who can be there and be that creative with him, alongside of him, so that he doesn't lose that from staring at a screen all day silent.
Focus. My husband's office just opened, so he's able to go in. He has a private space, and I need quiet in order to do my work. So having the kids home, which we did in March, from March until June, was I was completely unable to work, and the house was chaos, and my kids just ended up not actually doing any schoolwork at all. So this fall, we decided to put them in a learning hub, which is run by a couple of parents at our school. It's a small group that gets together with social distancing, indoor, outdoor learning, and facilitators to help make sure they're on their calls. We pay $2,000 a month to send them there, which has been it's been a burden because I haven't been able to work as much because of the pandemic. So the challenge with the learning hub that they go to is that they don't want to go because the learning is still online. And so they would prefer to be here. I can't have them here. And both of my children today, this morning in particular, was a really tough morning where my son was just screaming and yelling at the top of his lungs that he didn't want to go and he didn't want to do this anymore. So they both have shared that they no longer want to live, that their life sucks. We've sought counsel for my son, who relies so heavily on his connections with his friends. And part of the challenge with the Learning Hub is it's a very small group of kids and he doesn't have friends there. So even when he's doing his work, which is rare that he will log on and participate in the assignments, the only thing he wants to do is to play video games because that's the way he connects with his friends. And so all of this screen time is just, I feel like it's reprogrammed their brains to just be really short-circuited. So they have a lot of big emotions and a lot of frustration that they don't know how to articulate. And it's been a really challenging time. If we could send our kids back, we would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so I have a little guy. He just turned 6 in September. He has moderate to severe autism, and he's been home with us. But we did have one little ray of sunshine. He was actually able to go back on campus for 2 weeks straight, and he met his occupational therapist in person and his special ed teacher in person. And it was like night and day. He just changed, like he lit up. When we do occupational therapy at home, he usually ends up throwing his materials and tearing everything up. When he met his OT therapist in person, he walked through every step, every exercise, sat there, listened. It was like a totally different kid. And with his sped teacher, he's been asking for him every day. And so he only had 5 days on campus. And that was because his OT and sped teacher didn't volunteer until recently, but we were grateful to them. We would do COVID testing over the weekend, get our results Monday morning, and then go on campus Tuesday. So we're really grateful. And I saw what a game changer it was just for those 2 weeks. He was just so attentive and excited, and he was a totally different kid. So now it breaks my heart because obviously he keeps asking for Mr. M, his teacher. He keeps saying, drive Mr. M, like he wants us to drive him over to North Hollywood. So it was a ray of sunshine in this really dark story, and it just shows the potential for kids with special needs if you can get them back on campus safely. Just so you guys know, our occupational therapist and special ed teacher did want to remain on campus. They would have continued on campus, but they were actually sent home by the district. But what I don't understand, and I was fortunate to be able to go to religious school my friends have their kids at parochial schools and they're all at school this week and last week. And it's confusing to me when I have a child who has such desperate needs that needs that in-person attention. Why, sure, I'll go home, but send everyone home. Like, if it's not safe enough for LAUSD, then it's not safe for any TK through 2. But I have friends consistently throughout LA County that have kids at religious schools or private schools that are going to school every day, and they say it's a game changer for their children. And that's what I'm not okay with, is the inequity. Why is it not consistent? If it's a public health crisis and we're in a surge, then we're in a surge. Everyone goes home. And that's what really gets to me as a special needs parent, is that I feel like there isn't that equity.
I have an issue sometimes with the lack of imagination within LAUSD in terms of deploying services. For example, my older son is part of the regional center. And for the entire course of the pandemic, we've had people come to the house, they're outside with gloves and masks and interacting with him. And there's been no problem. So I don't see why with some special education high need students, they couldn't do that. And I know it's a union thing, but I'm just concerned that we get into a little box and we refuse to think outside of our box in terms of delivering services.
I have to say my high schooler is doing better than the younger child, although she has wanted to take the SAT a few times and it's been canceled. So she is really concerned about what college is going to be for her, because she hasn't taken any of those exams, and her AP exams have not been successful because they're online. So she has her college concerns, while the younger one has been just trying to focus and do well in school, but he's only 8 and he is so tired of staring at a screen. And I keep telling him not to play his video games, but yet he's staring at a screen all day. So I'm contradicting myself as a parent, and I'm a working mom too. So a lot of times I'm doing various meetings and Zoom calls. So he has to really tend to himself, make his own. I mean, he sometimes has to make his own lunch. He's burned his hand 1 or 2 times doing all that. So our kids are suffering, we're suffering. There has to be a solution, especially for younger kids, because they really need supervision. Whereas the older kids have that option to make sure they're on top of their grades and make sure they're getting their schoolwork done. The younger kids are really suffering, and it's affecting them emotionally. It's affecting parents and families. And in fact, his cousin is going to be going back to school, to a private school, and we don't have the means to go to private school. And so he keeps asking me, why can't I go back? And I have to explain to him the disparity between, wealth and not wealth, and being able to do that for your child and not being able to do it for your child. So there are all these other issues that are coming up because our kids are not allowed to go back.
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Teresa. Yo también tengo 2 niños en el distrito escolar de aquí de Los Ángeles. Tengo una niña en 4º grado y mi niño va en el 9º grado. Con la niña no he tenido mayor dificultad, pero con mi niño del 9º grado es muy diferente. Él está sufriendo mucho. Ha llegado días que ya no quiere meterse a clase. Se ha metido porque es un buen niño y sigue obedeciéndome, sigue haciendo lo correcto, pero él ha comentado que él ya no quiere estar en clases en línea. Yo si me dieran la opción, y yo ya hablé con mis hijos, ellos desean regresar a la escuela. Yo lo único que pido al distrito es que les dé prioridad a los niños que quieren regresar a la escuela, porque un niño de 9º grado sabe lo que quiere. Si mi hijo está diciendo que él quiere regresar a la escuela, él necesita estar en la escuela, creo que el distrito debería de dar prioridad a estos niños.